Hey guys, what is going on today? Bojo here, and today I thought we would start our very first NHL 19 discussion video where today I'm going to be giving my early predictions and thoughts on who the NHL 19 cover athlete is going to feature. So if you guys wouldn't mind, make sure to go down to that thumbs up button down below. Make sure to hit it, subscribe if you guys are new, and hopefully you guys are hyped about NHL 19 as much as I am, because we should hopefully be getting our first bit of news within the next month. So as you guys know, in past years, the NHL cover has normally been released along with the first trailer and other bits of news at the NHL Awards this year, held in Las Vegas on June 20th. So in case you guys needed a little bit of a refresher, let's take a look at the past NHL cover athlete winners, only dating back to the double-digit NHL numbers, so I'll only go far back as NHL 10. So for NHL's 10, 11, and 12, they were handpicked by EA Sports. There was no cover vote associated with who would be featured on these games, but NHL 10 had Patrick Kane on the cover, NHL 11 had Jonathan Toews on the cover, and NHL 12 had Steven Stamkos on the cover. As we moved into NHL 13, this is when the cover vote trend started to begin, with the winner being my Philadelphia Flyers, Claude Giroux, on that cover. As we move on to NHL 14, we had Martin Brodeur winning the cover vote against Sergei Bobrovsky, which would be the very first year that a goaltender would be on the cover of an NHL game. NHL 15 also had a cover vote which pitted up Patrice Bergeron and PK Subban in the finals, which Patrice Bergeron did end up winning. NHL 16 is the one year that there was no cover vote, as EA Sports went with the Stanley Cup winner cover, which featured Jonathan Toews, although it was supposed to feature Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, but due to the accusations against Patrick Kane during that time, they took Kane off of the cover and just went with Jonathan Toews holding the Stanley Cup above his head. For NHL 17, they went back to the cover vote once again. They minimized the list this time around, not selecting one player from each NHL team, and Vladimir Tarasenko ended up winning that. And then finally, this year's game for NHL 18, Connor McDavid graced the cover. There was no cover vote associated with this. Obviously, McDavid won the Hart Trophy for MVP this past season, as well as the Art Ross. And the reason Connor McDavid was selected for this cover was he fit the theme of the NHL 18 trailer, which was a focus on young kids and the new breed of NHL players: speed, skill, youth, and hype, all of which McDavid fit the bill. So to start off, I think having the winner of the Stanley Cup go on the cover of this year's game might not be a bad idea, going back to the NHL 16 cover, especially if the Pittsburgh Penguins end up winning the Stanley Cup for a third straight year. I think if they do end up winning the cup, I 100% think you're going to see a Pittsburgh Penguins player on the cover of NHL 19 for sure, whether it be Crosby, whether it be Malkin, whether it be possible three-time Stanley Cup champion Phil Kessel. I think if that happens, 100% you're going to see a Pittsburgh Penguin player on the cover of NHL 19 if that scenario were to happen. But even if the Penguins don't end up winning the cup, I still could see any player representing the Stanley Cup winning team featured on the cover of NHL 19, whether they're holding the cup like Kane and Toews or in NHL 16. Regardless, either they're holding the cup or the cup is not featured at all in the cover. Still, there's a good possibility that a player from the Stanley Cup winning team could be featured on the cover. So my next prediction and thought would be to feature a player from the Vegas Golden Knights. Obviously, nobody thought that the Vegas Golden Knights were going to have this great of a season, as they are literally only one more win away from reaching the Western Conference Finals as I am recording this video. So I think it only makes sense that they should go the route of putting a Vegas Golden Knights player, on the cover of NHL 19. As you guys know, they put the franchise mode expansion draft into this year's game, so why not continue to hype up those Vegas Golden Knights by putting a player on the front, whether it be somebody recognizable like Marc-Andre Fleury, which we would knock out two birds with one stone by putting a goalie back on the cover and putting a Vegas Golden Knights player, or you go with a more recognizable forward like William Karlsson or James Neal. I feel as if putting a Vegas Golden Knights player on the NHL 19 cover would be very, very good. Now, the other route that they can go is selecting a winner of an NHL award at this year's event. For the Selke Trophy, I think Kopitar is the way to go. I don't think they would choose Sean Couturier, as Claude Giroux was already on the cover, being a Philadelphia Flyer, and Patrice Bergeron was already on the cover of NHL 15, being a Boston Bruin. I think Anze Kopitar would be the person to choose for the Selke. As far as the Vezina goes, I feel that all three are worthy candidates to be possibly put on the cover, whether it be Connor Hellebuyck, Pekka Rinne, or Andrei Vasilevsky. If they choose the Vezina Trophy winner and pick a goaltender to be on the cover, any of those three guys I would be more than happy with. The same goes for the Norris Trophy winners, whether it be Drew Doughty, Victor Hedman, or PK Subban. I feel all three of those guys would also be worthy candidates to be onto the cover. As far as the Lady Byng goes, I would probably say no to Ryan O'Reilly. Barkov would be a worthy candidate considering that he was in the voting for the NHL 17 cover vote, and then obviously William Karlsson fits the Vegas role that I have already mentioned before. As far as the Masterton Trophy goes, I don't think I would give anybody the nod per se. As good of a story as Brian Boyle had this year, I probably wouldn't think he would make the cover. Unfortunately, the same goes for Roberto Luongo and Jordan Staal. If we move on to the Calder Trophy, I would think that Barzal, Besser, and Clayton Keller all would be good candidates to make the cover. However, considering that NHL 18's cover was all about the youth and the kids, I don't think they would go 2 years in a row with that mentality by putting the Calder Trophy winner onto the cover. So unfortunately, I don't think any of those guys have a shot at making it. As for the Mark Messier Leadership Award, I would say that Blake Wheeler has the early nod on that one. Once again, the Wayne Simmons thing probably wouldn't work out too well. He didn't have the greatest season, to be perfectly honest. Plus, once again, Claude Giroux would be on the cover. And Derek Englund would be a good candidate for that Vegas role, but however, I think they would choose a more well-known player from the Vegas Golden Knights, ergo Marc-Andre Fleury, William Karlsson, James Neal, etc. Now, if we get to the Hart Trophy, I feel this is where a really two good candidates come from, being Taylor Hall and Nathan MacKinnon. I feel as if, though, from all the award winners that are nominated for this year's NHL awards, I feel that Taylor Hall and Nathan MacKinnon, both of the Hart Trophy finalists, have the greatest chance to make it onto the cover. And then as we move to the King Clancy, either the Sedins or PK Subban, once again, that PK Subban mentality goes along with the Norris Trophy. And then the Sedins would be a good story, but considering how they just retired, I don't know if they would put both of the Sedins onto the cover of NHL 19, considering they won't be into the game. So that's very interesting to see if they would do that, but I would think not. So once again, if I had to choose which the best route EA Sports could take for the cover of NHL 19, I obviously have three choices. Either you could go with the Stanley Cup winner, whether it be just any old one player or two players from the winning team, or if the Pittsburgh Penguins end up winning the Cup for a third straight year, I can guarantee you that you will either see a celebration of them winning the Cup on the cover or just a Pittsburgh Penguins player in general on the cover. You could either go with the Vegas Golden Knights route of putting a Vegas Golden Knights player onto the cover, considering the amazing season that that team had and the future that holds for that team. You would have to go with a very popular player, either Marc-Andre Fleury, William Karlsson, or James Neal. Or you could just go with one of the potential NHL award winners. And if I had to choose one player from all the awards or one player from all the teams that I had mentioned, one candidate from each team that I had mentioned, I would think that Nathan MacKinnon is the standout player to possibly make it onto the cover of NHL 19, 100%. And yes, I do think that either him or Taylor Hall, both worthy candidates, will probably end up winning that Hart Trophy and could end up on the cover of NHL 19. So let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Who do you think is going to be on the cover of NHL 19? Will we be having a cover vote again? Possibly. And who would you guys like to see on the cover of NHL 19? Whether it's your favorite player from your favorite team, or do you think a player who deserves it most considering this past NHL season? So let me know down below, guys. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe as always. And I'll see you guys next time.